What is good, you guys? It is a little late here, but I wanted to sit down and make a video for you this week. And as I was sitting here thinking about what video that I wanted to bring to you guys, I started thinking about a lot of the emails that I've received and also a lot of the conversations that I've had with a few of you guys this week. And one of the common themes here is people will say, okay, I'm imagining myself being healthy. Health was a lot of people's concerns this week. That if I'm imagining myself healthy, then what do I do, although I still may be in pain in this current circumstance? And I want to talk about that because I also have a client that had an experience where she had cancer, but she manifested by remembering the reality where the cancer never was. And I will link that success story below because there was so much information there. But I want to share a story that Neville has that kind of goes along with what I'm getting ready to talk about. And I will also share a lot of my experiences too, because it's all the same. It is the same for your health. It is the same for your perceived money problem. It is the same for your SP problem, all of it. It is the same for that, right? And so, what I want you guys to understand is that the problem that you deem being a problem and the solution are simultaneous, they are together, you guys, right? So, the story with Neville was that when he got out of the army, him and his wife wanted to look for a new apartment to move into. And he had a certain amount in mind that he wanted to pay for this apartment. And so when they found the perfect apartment, the landlord said that it was more than what Neville was willing to pay, but it was the perfect apartment. And of course, he started feeling all kinds of ways about what was. But then his wife said, this is not demonstrating the principle. Like, what do you mean? Like, just because circumstances are saying this, you know how reality works, right? So Neville said that he went within and saw him paying the price that he wanted to pay every time he paid rent. So he did not ignore or reject what was currently happening because he knew the truth within, that in his inner world he was choosing the reality where the price had always been the way that he wanted it to be. And so he said that it took him about 3 months of paying the price that the landlord told him. But when he went to turn in the rent on the third month, the landlord said that he had been paying more for the apartment than what it should originally he should be originally paying. And when the landlord adjusted the rent for the prior 2 months, his payment for that third month was to the dollar amount that he originally wanted to pay. And then he went forward paying that price. And what this is, you guys, is understanding that you are not constantly rejecting what currently is. Yes, your imagination. Yes, that is the true reality. Yes, who you perceive yourself to be in that inner world is the truth. But if you keep reacting to reality, then what that means is you are rejecting yourself, you are denying yourself. So you have to see that there's nothing wrong with the current circumstance as far as it may be a misperception, right? But that reality has its own life, its own timeline. So you must remember, of course, creation is finished. All realities exist. And at every now moment, what you are choosing and who you're choosing to embody within, that is the truth. So it's what you continuously choose within, no matter what. So that means, although you may be in pain, although you may perceive this money problem, the solution is right there in the present with who you are being. So when you go within and you're imagining things to be the way that you want them to be, you know that's the truth, but you're still following the current reality, but you don't have any opposition against it. You're not resisting it because you're not resisting yourself. You have already decided within where you are dwelling, where you keep returning to, where you currently reside. So Neville, although he was paying for those 3 months, He was going within and chose that he was paying the price that he always wanted to pay. So, as he chose that and remained steadfast in that, no matter what was going on in the physical, he merged with that reality where it was always that price to pay, right? So you must understand that creation is finished. This reality that you are existing in, it has its own timeline, it has its own character in it, it has its own everything in it. So we are not rejecting that as the source that we are, but we are choosing from the infinite realities within us where we choose to live, where we choose to return to consistently. And so you're not going to really react to what is. It's all about where you consciously, continuously return to. And so, so many people will say, well, I might keep reacting. I might keep reacting. You can react, but it's where you continuously return to. So you're not going to keep rejecting and saying that something is wrong with what is when the solution is always right there in the present with who am I being? What am I choosing? What am I choosing? I'm choosing the reality where I have always been healthy. I still may follow through with going to my appointments. I still may follow through in the reality where it was already that reality where I have to take the medication and have to do all these things. We're not resisting what is, right? It's about where you are residing within. So you're not no longer resisting what is because it's the belief here that you cannot be fulfilled unless things are the way that you want them to be. So many of us postpone our fulfillment or residing in our choice with who we choose to be because the outer reality does not look the way that we want it to be. But the truth is within you. Whatever is perceived out here is just an out picturing. As Neville said, man is always out picturing himself. What you see out here is where you currently return to within. So, what do you do about a reality that is no longer your choice? What is there to do about it? There's nothing to really do about it. It loses its charge when it's no longer your choice. So you keep returning to the reality and imagining yourself being and feeling the way that you want it to be, no matter what. And then you do the steps necessary outside in that other reality, and you will merge. You're merging, you're becoming conscious, and you're rising yourself out of that circumstance. This is not a linear fashion. You are becoming aware of the version of yourself that has always lived in that reality where the rent was always the way you wanted it to be, where your health was always perfect, where the money was always there, right? It's not that you have to deal with this reality. You're saying, this is not my choice to live here in this reality, to keep being aware of existing in this reality. I am choosing where I exist right now within. And so the client that I had with the cancer, she did the same thing. Her whole thing that kept her in that loop was she had all of this judgment to the circumstances. She was always saying, well, I've always been healthy. I don't know why this happened. I've always been healthy. I've always, taken my vitamin. She was resisting. She was resisting the current circumstance. That meant she was resisting the present moment. This is what we're saying. You're resisting the present moment when you are resisting what is. So she followed along. She went to the appointments, but she trusted the unseen. She went within and she imagined the reality where the cancer never was. And so, as she was imagining it, as she was constantly choosing that that is her reality, no matter what already collapsed in the dead reality, she no longer took her cues from there. So, of course, it may have the appearance because creation is finished. She just didn't have all of this smoke anymore for her unchosen reality. She did what she was supposed to do, but it was irrelevant to who she was within. So, of course, she followed. what currently is without resistance. And reality conforms around you. It conforms, it rearranges around who you are being. It reveals who you truly are within and where you're truly resting within. And that's what happened to her. It was when she stopped judging what was, when she stopped trying to fix that reality. That reality still went on where she had that cancer, and it had its own timeline and everything. But she remembered beyond the circumstances who she truly was. And she chose from that infinite. So she chose who she was and kept returning there no matter what. Although the pain was there, although she felt all the things that we all do, but it's where she continuously chose to keep her awareness on. So I have a story like this too, you guys. So a few years ago, I got really sick one time, and it set off a allergy in my body that caused my eczema to flare up everywhere. And I mean, I had eczema really, really bad to where it was patches all along my neck, on my chest, and patches were under my eyes where it would get really crackly and crack open and bleed. And I was doing all the things, resisting, going to get all the creams. Meanwhile, I was doing all of that. I was judging. I was constantly, I don't know why this is like this, trying to resist what was actually an appearance, a dead reality, kept trying to fix it. But then I realized I can actually imagine and choose the reality where my skin was always perfect. So, of course, I went in and I imagined my mom saying that my skin was looking perfect, right? I just imagined that. And then it took the resistance off of the dead reality anyway. I was no longer reacting to that current reality. And so, of course, I still went to the dermatologist, still got the creams for my under eyes, still did the mask and all of that. But it was still, I did all of that while choosing and knowing within my chosen reality that I always had perfect skin to where there would never be a trace of eczema, right? And so I couldn't really tell you when it happened because I just looked up one day and it just wasn't there. So I don't can't even really remember how many months it was or anything. I think I just kept going along my day and I merged with that reality somehow. And my friends started telling me that my skin was looking amazing. And what was I doing? What kind of mask was I doing? So it left my awareness that I didn't even remember that I had it. So you merge with that reality where you are resting to where it never was a thing. I couldn't remember that I had that at one point. So I was remembering that today as I was sitting down, thinking about what I wanted to talk about. And so, another thing I want to share with you guys, I'm sharing my experiences with you because I'll never teach you guys or tell you things that I myself have not had personal experience with you guys. So, another story, which is really cool that I want to share, is back a few years ago when I had a beauty business, I had a studio, right? So, I had a studio and it was a small studio, but I was taking my clients there. But the one thing I noticed about this studio was it got really hot because it was always facing the sun. And of course, at first I was complaining about it, which caused my clients to say, it's always hot in here. So I would go out and I would turn the air down, but then someone else in their studio would always come out and turn it back up because everybody else, I was making them all cold, right? So I said, you know what? I also would like a bigger studio too, because I was growing really rapidly and I wanted a bigger studio too. I wanted to do it all nice and have all the things and, I wanted to put more stuff in it. So I said, you know what? I actually want a bigger studio. And so what I did was I went within and I imagined all of my stuff in a bigger studio and in a studio where the sun wasn't so directly on hitting the building. And so, but I also said that I didn't want to pay more than what I was paying then. I said maybe I'll pay $100 or $200 more, but I did not want to pay double because the space I wanted was double what my current square footage was, and I did not want to pay that. But in the place where I had my studio, all of them were booked and everybody was under like a 2-year contract. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I will look for another studio somewhere. So, of course, I imagined the studio being the way that I wanted it to be. And one of my clients said that her braider had another studio that was closer to downtown, but I still looked at the studio, although I didn't want to be far out from my clients. I still went and I looked. It wasn't what I wanted, and it was way overpriced, the price that I wanted to pay. But I didn't judge it. I was still imagining me doing all my clients in the studio that I wanted to be in, although I still was in that studio where the sun was still beating down on it. I just didn't react to it. I just imagined myself being where I wanted to be. And I kid you not, in a week, the lady that was over our studio, she came in because I was staying late, and she came in and she said, "Hey, um, I have this other studio back here that is opening up because the girl, she has to move home. She has to move home. So I know you said that you would love a bigger studio. Do you want to take over that studio?" And it was the one I really would have wanted, which was in the back, and it had its own back entry and everything. And it was just like huge. It was double the space that I wanted. And she said that you can only pay, she said, you'll only pay $100 more. Right. And so it was almost double the space. And I didn't want to have to move all of my stuff, because another thing I did not want to move is all of my things, because I had really big things to move and I didn't want to hire movers to do it. And so she said that tomorrow my husband and my brother will be in if you want them to move your stuff into that room, because I was going to be off the next few days. So I was like, yes, it literally came to me. It literally came to me. I did not have to move but 5 doors down. And so when I came back, I was prepared to move the rest of my stuff, because they were just going to move this big chair that I had moving into that room. And so when I get in there, not only did they clean the room, but they moved all of my stuff in there for me. Everything. They moved everything in there for me. And it was a bigger space. It was clean. It was nice and moody, just like I wanted. And I didn't have to leave the area that I wanted to be in. It literally came to me. And everybody was locked in a 2-year contract, but that girl, all of a sudden, she had to move, right? So, what I'm telling you guys is, I stopped resisting. I stopped being worried about the sun and what it was doing. I stopped, you know, imagining my clients being uncomfortable. I just, every time I took a client, I imagined myself where I wanted to be, in a room that was bigger, in a room that didn't have the sun beating down on it. And I merged with that reality where I was always in that studio, in the same location that I was always there, right? So, one more thing is my car. And I know I talk about this a lot of times, because although circumstances may seem like it's crazy, you guys, you just keep returning to where you want to be within. So when it came to my car, I had just put, I want to say $2,500 into my old car. So I had already shelled out all this money to my for my car. And as soon, I think it was like a week after I shelled out this money, I got new tires, I got some things fixed on it. It messed up again. Now, this time when it messed up, I was in such fulfillment in my life that I never even got upset about this car going through all of that. I was just like, you know what? I don't even care at this point. Like, I was just so over it. And in my mind, I knew I was driving my dream car anyway, but I did not expect my dream car to show up that quick. So I went to the dealership and I asked them to take a look at my car, and they said that they wouldn't be able to see my car for a few days. And I said, you know what, that's cool, I'll Uber to my studio to take my clients and do all of that. And so I was like, whatever, cool. Didn't make a fuss about it. But then I thought, I do not want to put any more money into this car. So one of my clients said, my boyfriend, he works at a dealership, here's his number, you should call him and see what he has. So I tried to call him, although I knew he worked at a Toyota dealership and a Toyota was not what I wanted. But even though I started thinking from a the small self thinking, okay, well, maybe it'll be more cost affordable. I'll call him. He never answered me, right? So the dealership was closed. They could not see my car and for a few days. And it was, I think it was like we had a holiday coming up too. So I had to wait an extra day. And he was not answering my call. So I was sitting there at the computer and something within me said, just type in Range Rover. And so I was like, I don't know if I should because, I'm thinking maybe I need to have way more money. I need to have all of this stuff together. I'm thinking from the small limited self. But I typed it in and my Range Rover was a mile from my home. And when I called them, they said they had just got it in and it was on the day that my car broke down. Although I put all this money into my car, the day that it had broke down when I got my car back, it was my dream car came in, right? So they said, do you want to reserve it and drive it? And I was like, yeah, I'll reserve it and drive it because, I got these days where they can't see me for my car anyway. So I went in, I test drove it, and I immediately knew it was mine because it was built the way that I built it on, the Range Rover site. And so when I went in and I test drove it, I came back and I was like, something in me was just like, let's just see, let's just see. And so they said, you should go get your car and bring it because we'll purchase it. If not, we'll purchase it for parts. So I was like, cool, like, let me go get my car. So I went and I got my car and I brought it. And, by the time we did everything, number one, I did not have to put down any money on my car. I just drove off with it that same day. And I didn't, and the payment, you guys, was not even what I thought it would be. And although I tried to shrink my dream really quick and was like, okay, well, let me go get something else, everything was leading to no. Of course, you couldn't see it leading up to that, but looking back, it was like everything happened to where it was made for me. But I never resisted those nudges or following what that script was doing. I never resisted the script. I just was like, you know what? Whatever came up in me, I'm just going to move through reality without all of this. Why is the car doing this? Why is that? Why is this? Why is that? Because you get into trying to figure it out and you can't. There's other realities where your desire already exists. So I rested in the knowing that regardless of if this car got fixed or not, in my mind, I had already been driving my dream car anyway. And to top that off, of course, I told you guys on another video that that was the day I got my car was the day that I got my first dog too. And my end scene was of me and my dog. My imaginal scene was going to be me and my dog driving in the car. And I was going to let the sunroof down. I had just got a smoothie and we were going to drive with the sunset going down the highway, right? That was my end scene, right? So I wasn't even thinking of the fact that I had to pick my dog up that day because I was already assuming in my end scene that I would have already had the dog and it would have been some years, right? So when I went and I picked my dog up, I went and I got a smoothie. I did all of this unintentionally. Went and got a smoothie because I was so excited. I was like, I can't eat. I'm so excited. And then it wasn't until I let that back the moonroof and I let the windows down and I'm riding down the highway listening to music and I'm drinking my smoothie and it dawned on me that I was literally living my end scene, the end scene that I had been imagining, right? And I just looked at my dog and I was just like, holy crap, like literally my end scene in action. Like I could have never like imagined it happen that way, right? But I just never resisted what was currently going on, even though I had all these thoughts that, okay, well, all the money that I put into the car and all of these things, I never once like started battling with that reality. I chose that regardless of what was happening, I knew I was driving my dream car anyway. Like there were thoughts of course, maybe it might take more time, maybe it might be all this, but when it's for you, doesn't matter what the circumstances are saying. You will be you will be merged with that reality where it's always been so. It was the most natural thing ever, you guys. So I'm telling you that all this to say, don't resist what currently is in that reality, whether it be unfavorable or not. You just keep returning to the choice that you made within. right? So there's no need to argue with the reality that you no longer choose. You just keep choosing to rest as you still move through. You'll be indifferent to what you have to do, whether you have to take medication or not. You're merging with that reality where it's forming around you. Reality is forming around you to where it's going to be outpictured that that sickness never was, that that money problem was never there. It's when you think that you have to postpone being fulfilled until it comes in form is where you get caught up. You think that you can't imagine just because you may feel sick right now or you may have a condition right now, that you can't trust your inner fulfillment, that you can't be resting in the reality that you've chosen. You believe that, okay, like I can't find joy or I can't find the fulfillment unless it comes in form. But the true reality is always happening within you and it's always going to meet you in form. You're only meeting yourself in form. So I will leave my client's story below with the cancer for those of you who have, health things that you want to have a little bit more, story that goes along with that. It's there. And yeah, you guys, I just wanted to share that it happens from every reality. You're still going to follow that one timeline, but you're going to be indifferent to it because creation is finished. So we're not trying to change what is, we're choosing and we're letting reality form around our new state of being. So that's really what this is. But you also don't postpone you being happy or you being fulfilled or you finding joy, you finding that and fulfilling yourself within your imagination, within your spiritual sensation, using your spiritual sensation. You don't wait to do that until reality looks the way you want it because you're just going to keep looking at what is and going to keep imagining that over and over again. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys today. And yeah, you guys, so great news. We have a lot of new master classes coming up towards the end of this year, but the two that I will not be doing live again are the Specific Person Masterclass and the Money Magic Masterclass. But I went on ahead and after I revised those for the last time, I recorded them. And yeah, I recorded them and you can pick them up on my sites just so you can rewatch them whenever. All right. So they're about 2 hours a piece and they're down in the description box below. My books and, how, if you want to work with me, all of that amazing stuff. Sorry, you guys, it's almost midnight, but all of that is down in the description box below. And remember, you guys, your imagination is the true reality. Man is all imagination. You are perceiving yourself in imagination as being the one in that reality. And the physical, you will merge with that reality to remember that it's always been that way. And the reality is going to form around you. So there's nothing that you have to do but keep choosing and not resist what's currently going on. All right. So, again, you guys, imagination is on your side, and I am too. I will see you guys in the next one. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think. Bye.